about you is that you have ambition to be great. My job is to coach you to get all that greatness out of you.
What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for yet another one. Hope everyone is having a fabulous weekend. I was actually intending to go live last night, but you know, the whole Heat thing and the Heat playing, I knew everyone's attention would be focused on that. Didn't want to take y'all attention away from the Heat game. So I just let it breathe, and I decided, you know what, we'll hit them with a nice little evening show today. We're going at 5:30, not the usual time, around 8 o'clock. So I'm not even expecting all y'all to really come out and be expecting me to do this, but hope y'all do, and I hope you enjoy everything we're about to talk about, and I hope everyone's enjoying their weekend so far. What's good, everyone? I see y'all already showing up in the chat too. You know, we gotta. There's a bunch of stuff we got to talk about today, like David Njoku's deal, how it impacted Mike Gesicki here moving forward. You know, there's some other things in terms of a pretty decent article by Sam Monsoon of PFF in terms of expectations of Tua that I think is definitely worth going over. Is Ricky Williams the most underappreciated running back of all time? We got to look into that one too. And then obviously, you know, and I kind of wanted to start off the show with this, talking about this. You know, everyone here is back to, you know, now we're over analyzing and over critiquing, you know, OTA throws, and we're really not even providing a lot of context with them. And you might be wondering, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is this, you know, everyone making this big deal about, you know, the two throws that were leaked by Keon Crossan yesterday, you know. I know TD made like a 2-hour video about it. Dudley made a video about it. You know, I had to address it on Twitter because everyone was just talking about it. And the first thing I'm going to ask everyone this is, did y'all think Keon Crossan was going to post clips from OTAs of him and the DBs getting burnt or getting beat for touchdowns? Did y'all really think it? I mean, we're talking about 2 plays out of how many plays that were probably ran that entire day? Did y'all really think Keon Crossan was about to come up here and start posting successful plays? And even still, the plays he posted, there's a ton of positives. And I guess I'll bring the plays up and I'll show you exactly what I mean here in a sec. But did we all think that Keon Crossan, the DB for the Miami Dolphins, was about to show on his Instagram stories the DB's getting burnt or beat by 2 in the receiving core? Did we really think that was supposed to happen? Are we that naive now? And here's the other thing too. People are sitting here breaking down throws and saying, "Oh no, he should have gone here. He should have gone there." Guys, it's OTAs with no pads on. I want you to test the middle of the field. Consistency over the middle of the field is one of the glaring issues Tagovailoa had last year. I want him to test over the field, test the coverage, test what you can do with your arm and your receiving core over the middle of the field, because now's the time to make mistakes. And even still, guess what? He hit both receivers in the hands. So what mistakes did even happen here? What, because he didn't take the out route? He took the aggressive throw over the middle, which he would have completed? Sure, the out route in a game situation in September or October, we all want him to take that. But in May, with no pads on, in the underwear Olympics, we want you to test over the middle. We want you to test the areas and test doing the things that you had struggles being consistent at last year. That's what the whole point of what you're doing, what you're trying to do right now. And even still, we're talking about 2 reps out of how many reps that went down that day. How many reps are we not talking about? How many of those reps that we're not talking about were great reps or good reps? Like, there's so much there's such a void in context here, and I don't get it. Like, I just don't think this is, I don't think, like, even still, like, I agree with SJ. The pocket looked fantastic. I agree with SJ. But what the hell does the pocket matter? There's no pads on. These guys aren't rumbling and fighting for every inch in the trenches, trying to make an impression on the coaching staff. The pads aren't on. So even the clean pocket, again, what do I keep telling people with this stuff? Take notice, but don't put stock into this. But you got people out here legitimately putting stock into it. It's ridiculous. Like, the pocket means nothing. The throw that Tua made means nothing. The drop at the end of the day means nothing, even though Eric Azukuma should have had the football, especially on that over the middle throw. All of it means nothing because we're not in pads and these aren't live reps. Like, the watch mister, tired of the Tua haters, man. For real. I was tired of all this stuff. This is like, are we so, like, some of people need to get out here and touch grass. Like, we're getting to this point. And so let's break this down for a sec, okay? Let's go. Let's start off with the throw towards the end zone. I can't believe I actually have to break down these clips quickly, and I'm not going to spend like hours on this stuff, okay? So it's not about to happen. These are not like, pressing needs here. All right. So obviously you see the motion, man, and there's going to be a lot of motion in this offense moving forward. I don't know why people are stunned by this. I mean, you haven't watched San Francisco football if you're surprised by all the motion we're seeing. Right? And then at the snap, what happens here is you're going to have the slot receiver right here. You're going to dip over just a little, he's just a little sit route where he's just going to do a little curl and just sit on the top right there. And then you got the slant from the boundary coming in. And I'm going to tell you why he tested that slant on the boundary right here too. First of all, this is as soon as he snaps the ball. You look at the receiver over the slot here, who's coming over on that little sit route over top in the middle here. Look at his feet. Look at his body. He's already angled towards taking that away, taking that middle of the field right there away. If you look at the boundary, the cushion, right? The cushion is similar, right? But look at how open the slot defender's hips are, the slot corner's hips are towards where he's going, right? So what I mean by that is if you look at the boundary defender here, he's a little bit more flat-footed, right? He's a little bit more turned inside towards the receiver, so you have him more, angled toward the boundary receiver, whereas you look at how open the hips are and the feet are of that slot defender, he's clearly angled towards taking away the middle of the field. So what I mean by that is, okay, so when the sit route is coming, automatically this tells me if I throw that, he's crashing on it. I might gain a yard. I'm not getting in the end zone over the middle here. I'm just not. That's what that initially tells me. With this cushion right here on that slant, if he breaks it explosively and explosive out of his break on his angle at the top, when he stems the top of that route and he breaks off, I can make that throw. That's why he throws the slant here, okay? Look how quickly how quickly already the receivers are at the same position. We showed that the depth between both defenders was the same as well. But that slot defender, all right, when you look at the slot defender, and I can't see numbers here, all right? So I'm not going to sit here and call names or even like really call positions out. Slot defender here, look at how easily he broke on that football. Even if you would have made the catch, you're wrapped and you're tackled there at about the 2. Right here, I've got the inside. That slant has inside leverage. He has the inside. That's why he's throwing the slant. He noticed the defender's feet and body and their hips. Those are one of the things. And see, that's why when you got people out here who've never thrown a football in live reps, who don't know what to look for, and they're trying to tell people this is what you look for and this is what you do. I laugh every time. But this is why he made that slant throw. If I pause it right there, you can see I just like you can tell off their body, their foot placement, you know, you can tell everything when you look at a defender, where he's going, the angle he's taking, et cetera, et cetera. And that defender was telling you pre-snap, was telling you he's taking that away. So, right, because he motions with him there, breaks up. But look at whoever the slot defender is, whoever sat back after that motion, you got to actually applaud that slot defender. They read what was happening there in an instant, and they knew exactly. Look at this, is the ball just got snapped, and as soon as, if you actually watch it back, look how he sets his feet after he comes in following the motion receiver. He sets into that position. It's actually it's like actually very good work by the slot defender. Look at, boom, he's already set. I'm taking that middle away. If you're coming over on a drag, you know, if you're coming over on a hook where you're just going to sit over that middle, I'm taking that away no matter what happens. Great work. While you got the boundary defender is a little bit more flat-footed. So that's why he takes that, and that boundary defender also gives him the inside. So good break by the boundary defender, makes the play. It hit the hands. If you actually watch the play, Tua hit him in the hands, and it's actually a drop. Look at it. He hit him in the hands right there. It's in the hands. It's a drop. Got to make that catch. So I can't believe I'm breaking this down, but that's why he made that, right? Again, pause it here. Look at that slot defender is taking that middle away. Anything over that middle, he's on top of that. He's on top of it. Again, I don't know numbers, so I'm not going to sit here and call names when I don't know who the names are. That would be irresponsible of me. Right? And again, what have I told? The crazy thing I got to told y'all. What have I told y'all we'll be doing a lot of this offseason? Tight formations, right? Look at this formation. Look how tight this formation is right now in the red zone. I told y'all we'd be doing a lot of tight sets. And you're seeing it already. Look at the tight set here. Yeah, you don't make that throw over the middle because, buddy, you got two defenders, man. You got the defender on top of him. You got another defender drawn to the middle. This guy's going to get lit up if you make that throw over the middle. He made the right throw. Receiver dropped it. End of story. I mean, what else can we really talk about that? There's really nothing more to that. I mean, that play takes maximum 2 minutes to break down. Even I took too long to break that down. And I'm breaking this down in the most basic sense because, I mean, like, what are we really talking about here? Now, we go to this play, the one that everyone's talking about. All right. So basically what you got here is you got a 4-2-5 look. The defense is showing a nickel package right here. Right. And what you have right here is a 2x2 alignment. Excuse me. So I believe if I see the angle here. Yeah, what do we got? We got 10-man personnel. And so here we go. Sorry, 1-man personnel, 10-man personnel. What am I talking about? Here we go. What's going to happen here now? You got the 4-2-5 look, nickel. What they're going to happen is the safety is going to rotate, and it's going to become more of a cover one robber look pre-snap with the motion. The motion shows her in man. Now, see, they rotated. Safety moved up into the box. He's going to become a robber. Out of this bunch set to the right, he's going to take that crossing route over the middle of the field, which is a robber's responsibility. And so they switch into more of a cover one robber look. Boom. And you see, he's going to creep up and take that. He's going to start to take this crosser over the middle of the field away. And you're going to have the out route breakout with a little bit of confusion. Out route is there, but Tua sees the break. Now, what Tua sees right now is all that space in the middle of the field, right? And so what he's going to have to do is he knows someone out of this little bunch is going to drop back underneath. He's going to have help over top. And then this is just a throw where put it over top of the underneath defender, underneath the single high defender. And I mean, Tua does it. It's in his hands. Like, cardinal rule when you are a receiver at any level, not just the NFL, if it hits you in the hands, you make the throw. You make the catch. Right? So, I mean, I don't know what else to say. This throw comes down to you want him taking these shots in practice. I mean, what are we talking about right here? People are like, oh, see, because here's the thing. If he would have taken that out route, people would have sat there and been like, oh, Tua's checking down. Tua's not doing it. So you got 10-man personnel here. Okay, you got the 2x2 alignment. Again, you got the motion coming over here. Motion receiver. And the thing I got to give kudos for is now that they create this bunch set on the right, the trips bunch set on the right. Last year, if you remember when we broke down the film, I kept hating on the fact that we couldn't create space and separation out of bunches. And if you think about it, you do create, look at, they create it with that out route right there. They created with that out. You had the dump off underneath if you really wanted it. He just would have been tackled for a super short gain. And then Azukama is open. And Irving, wherever Irving is right now, this guy's out here talking about Tua. Now y'all are complaining about Tua having too much torque on his throws. Are we serious right now? Y'all compare that. Y'all complain he don't have enough velocity. Now he's got too much velocity for you guys. This throw was on the money. And I'm going to tell you why he didn't touch throw this. Touch throwing takes velocity off the football. If I touch this ball and I'm running you into stride over your shoulder, that gives this safety even more time to crash downfield on top of the reception. Now, if I sling it to you in stride, if I put velocity on the football, and if I put it on the rope in stride, over top of that underneath defender and in front of that over top defender, that gives less time, less reaction time for that over top defender. And that gives you more time as a receiver once you make the catch to make a play once you make the catch. So you want that. That has to be a rope throw. I do not want a touch throw there. I need a rope throw there because that is a window that closes by the millisecond. So you have to rope that throw. You have to. And let's be honest. Again, it's OTAs. The no pads. We want him attacking the middle level like this because this is a consistency issue he had last year. And guess what? He made the throw. And Eric Azukama, you got to come down with that pass, especially as a rookie. You're not a guy who's 2 or 3 years in camp. Because I'm going to tell you this right now. Tua makes that throw to Waddle or Tyreek Hill. They are now one-on-one with that safety, and they're making a miss, and they're taking it to the house. So that's why you need to rope that throw. That is not a touch throw. That is a get the ball there as fast as you can throw. And he made a good throw. Sure, in September, we want him to take that out route because that guy is just going up the sideline and he's gone. He's still running like Forrest Gump. But for right now, I want to see these throws. I want to see the middle of the field get tested by this guy. And he put it in his hands. Got to make that catch, Zukama. And if you really want to break it down, I mean, if you really want to get nitpicky here, let's watch Azukama. Azukama is also the motion man, in case you guys didn't follow. But let's watch Azukama. Right? Lazy break at the top of his route, too. If you really want to get critical of someone here, too, we really want to start pointing fingers. And again, it's OTA, so I don't care. But if you really want to start getting nitpicky, lazy break at the top of the route rounded it, wasn't sharp at all. Didn't plant and explode out of that break. He rounded the hell out of that break. If you really want to get nitpicky, the route wasn't even round, and this is one of his issues, we all remember. The route wasn't even ran that very well. If you really want to get nitpicky and start blaming people, but it's OTAs, I don't care. So it could have been a lot crisper if we really want to start, oh, this guy does this guy does that. But, I mean, listen, you got to make that catch. I don't know what else to say. Rounded the hell out of that. So, but again, Tua made a good throw, on the post route over the middle. That's a post he's running. All right. Again, he rounds the post out a little bit at the top of the stem But right there, he rounds that. Not a very good route at the top of it, but Tua hit the post route. And listen, I'm going to tell you this much. If you would have ran a sharper route, that would have been even more on the money. And when I say on the money, if it hits you in both hands, that's on the money. What else do you want? What else do you want? That's a throw I want to hit you in the hand so you can continue running. And I got to put that on a rope. I ain't touching that. I ain't lobbing that over because that safety is going to move up on you and it's going to either break up the pass or he's going to light you up. And I'm not that. And we have a term for that. If anyone who played football and played the position, we call that a can opener throw, right? That's what we used to call it. When I throw you open to the hit and they open a can of whoop ass on you, that's a can opener throw. So, you got to protect your receivers too. People forget that quarterbacks have a job to protect receivers as well, right? You're not trying to put them in vulnerable positions so they can get their clock cleaned for an incomplete pass. So, man, people overanalyzing. The fact that I even had to address that is I overanalyzed that. Okay. But I had to lay this out for people because we got a lot of weird narratives, man. So he played the too high shell really well to cover one robber, played the robber, right? Because of that robber and that underneath route, he was smart. He knew that underneath route, that cross, that drag, I believe it was like a drag route if I go back and watch it. But that crossing route, I think it was a drag. That drag route, that took up that robber and left that middle of the field open. So it's a hey, in September, do we want him to take that out route with the sideline? Yes. But right now, they showed you they were giving you the middle of the field to test it. The pads aren't even on. Okay? I want you to make those throws. This is the time to make mistakes. So what are we really talking about here? It's unbelievable that is just such a huge deal. And again, is this Preston Williams posting videos? Is this Eric Azukama? Is this Jaylen Waddle? This is a defensive back posting these videos. Do you really think he's going to post videos of the offense winning and beating the defense? Ask yourself this. So everyone do not put stock in any of this. Take notice, but do not put stock. None of this stuff is worth putting stock in right now. And people are trying to make you believe that it is. It isn't. None of those throws I just showed you matter. They will not matter tomorrow. They didn't matter after they happened. They're nothing worth putting stock in. And that's it. So, let's just relax. I can't believe this is what we've now come to, that any little OTA throw comes out. I had to come out here and break things down because I had to straighten some misconceptions and misinformation that was put up there, because people took the time to break these two down, these two throws down on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever. Which I don't even know why people were even taking the time out of the day to do that. So, I don't know, man. Some people need to get out there and touch grass. But let's get to why. Let's get to some. Let's get into some interesting stuff regarding Mike Gesicki. Let's break this down because this is this raises some real questions here, because if Mike Gesicki breaks out, the Dolphins might not be reaping the benefits of it this year. All right. So the Browns and franchise tagged David Njoku, they reached an agreement in principle on a 4-year, $56.75 million contract extension. And he got $28 million of that guaranteed at signing on the deal. And it averages about $14.1875 million per year. This guy is the 5th highest paid tight end in the NFL right now. I want people to realize this, and you'll understand why I got this look on my face when I'm saying that. And here's the dilemma with what you get in is, the deadline for the Dolphins and Mike Gesicki to agree to a long-term deal is July 15th, or he will be playing 2022 on the franchise tag, which I think he will be. But if David Njoku is getting $14.1875 million right now, this tells you, guys, Gesicki's getting at least $15 million a year. Like, they just paid almost $14.5 million to a guy who, let's put this into context for everyone, okay? So, the number one the leading receiver in terms of and we'll go over we won't include the postseason. We'll just go over a regular season. But the number one receiving tight end in the regular season was Mark Andrews. He had 1,361 yards on 107 receptions, okay? For context, David Njoku, this guy had, again, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, he had 36 receptions for 475 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, obviously, he's a good pass blocker and he's a good run blocker. I get that. But the guy had 475 yards and 4 touchdowns, and now he's the 5th highest paid tight end in the NFL. Just for context, Mike Gesicki had 73 receptions to Njoku's 36, so double the receptions. He had 780 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had 703 yards the year before that. Okay? Njoku has never had a season with more than 640 yards. He's never had a 700-yard season. And when you do go to he had 639 yards in 2018, and he had 4 touchdowns. Right? Like, you remember, Gesicki's had 13 touchdowns over the last 3 years. Right? 5, 6, and 2. So he's giving you more touchdown. He's just giving you more ball production, right? What does that tell you? That he's going to ask for more money than Njoku. Now, he might not be nearly as good of a blocker as David Njoku, but what this has done is, because of the ball production, Gesicki is going to become at least a $15 million a year guy. Do you think the Dolphins are going to pony up 15 plus million a year from Mike Gesicki? Now, at 10.9 million, his current hit, fantastic number to have him at. I'd even say, 12, 13 number is an okay number to have him at. But once we start talking 15 million per year and we start getting into the realm of legit wide receiver money now, here's the thing. if he makes over $15 million a year, he's getting into Terron Armstead money. Are you going to pay Mike Gesicki as much as you pay Terron Armstead? I mean, that's what you have to ask yourself. That's what we have to ask ourselves. So, the deadline for the Dolphins to get a new deal done is July 15th. This guy's got to be asking for at least, after this guy's probably in the 40 or 60 to $62 million range. Do you see the Dolphins ponying up that kind of money? Because I know I don't. And again, at the right price, I'd love Gesicki to stick around. But I don't think the right price is going to be what the Dolphins are willing to pay. I just don't. And hold on a sec, guys. I don't see I don't see a scenario where this is going to work now on money unless this guy takes an extremely market friendly deal. I mean, we can all like Mike Gesicki as much or as little as you do as a fan. It doesn't affect the situation that there's just not going to be enough money to go around here. And Gesicki looks like it's just going to be a cap casualty. Like unless we get a massive leap in the cap number, how does anyone see this working out? If David Njoku is making $14.18 million, there's no way this guy's taking less than $15 million a year, especially if he becomes a better blocker this year under the coaching staff, which I kind of do expect. It's because I think he's going to have a really good year under the staff. I think he's going to look more of a complete player under this staff. I really do. I expect big things from Mike Gesicki this year under this staff. But I also expect Hunter Long to emerge a little bit. I also expect Durham Smythe to continue his upwards trajectory. So Mike Gesicki is working against the factor. We got the factors of the tight end room and the factors of the current market value-wise for tight ends working against Mike Gesicki. Mike, who asked, reason do you think we tag him next year on the wide receiver tag and then trade him on the tag? Man, I don't know, because then, guys, the tag this year was over $18 million. Who's going to pay, even for 1 year, going to pay Gesicki that kind of money? Next year, the tag's going to go up to like $20 million. Right? So who's going to pay that? I don't know. It's quite the question. It's quite the question, you got to ask yourself. Personally, man, even if he has the bigger the year he has, people need to realize, for all the people that like Mike Gesicki, and I want Mike Gesicki to stay at the right price. I like the guy, I told y'all with that last with that last little podcast episode he was on. I like the guy personality more and more, but the problem is the better the year he has, I mean, the worse the chances of this guy staying. He's going to catch in. So I don't know, man. I don't see how this works out. I just don't see how this works out in the Dolphins' favor in terms of we know they're going to want to keep them long term. You want to keep your own guys that you develop, but this is just a matter where the market and Gesicki's play could price him out of Miami real quickly in 2022 for the 2023 season. Now, obviously, we'll go get a compensatory pick for him. So that's whatever, but personally, man, I am it's because I'm gonna tell you, for the same money, would you rather have someone asked me here, for the same money, would you rather have Gesicki or Baker? That's a tough question. Because Baker excelled in the role they asked him to play last year. And everyone knows how I feel about Jerome Baker, the player. But I think Gesicki is really going to excel in this offense. That's a tough question. I think Baker's overpaid. You guys know how I think. I think he's an $8 or $9 million player. So for the same money, I would probably take Gesicki. I think Gesicki can become a Pro Bowler and a All Pro if he become a Pro Bowler if he becomes a competent blocker, a All Pro if he becomes a good blocker. I think he can become either or those. I don't see those ceilings with Jerome Baker. Because the thing is, guys, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, help me out here. Gesicki is just, he's got all the traits at that position, whereas, Baker's got athletic tools, but at what he's asked, he's lacking a little bit of the intangible aspect of it. But Jerome Baker I still think can be like a really good player in what they ask him to do. You know what I mean? An off-ball blitzer, et cetera, et cetera. If Gesicki learns how to block, then you know how much money he's going to be worth? If Gesicki learns how to block, he's going to be worth a lot of money. I think $15 million a year is the baseline here of where they're starting at. Like, I think this is $15 million is like the floor. I think we could be dealing with like a 15 to a 16 and a half, $17 million a year contract if someone really values the guy. I actually don't think that's far-fetched. I really don't. I mean, the guy has the tools to become 1,000-yard tight end, receiving tight end. Let's be honest with ourselves. Especially if he becomes a competent blocker, look out. So, I don't know. Going to be very interesting to see how it works out. But I personally think this Njoku deal, he's top 5. Gesicki's going to want to become at least top 5. He's probably going to reset the market. And by resetting the market, I see at least $15.5 million at resetting the market here. So, sucks, man. We might be losing one of our own in the long run, but hey, that just means better, that better just means that Hunter Long and Durham Smythe better do their damn thing. And speaking of Hunter Long, interesting article here from Omar Kelly regarding Hunter Long. He said Hunter Long must solve Dolphins tight end riddle to get on field. Hunter Long has mastered the Rubik's Cube to the point he can solve the 3D combination puzzle in less than a minute. Fortunately, adulthood in the NFL was a more perplexing puzzle, one that took the Miami Dolphins tight end an entire season to figure out. Well, the injury also held him out a little bit here too, right? Year one on and off field is a huge growing phase for anyone to make that leap. I learned a lot about myself and what I can do, the 2021 third-round pick said, referring to his rookie season, a year where he seldom played and caught just one pass for 8 yards. Many fans don't realize this, but Long began his NFL career as a starter. The rookie tight end was on the field with the starting unit for the season opener and played 18 offensive snaps in Miami's 17-16 win over the New England Patriots. It was package-based work, but the reviews must not have been favorable because from that point on, Long disappeared. I think he was just guys, it's the same thing with Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman was lighting up Ravens camp, and then the injury happened, and it set back his rookie season. That's why I think Rashad Bateman is someone you should invest in fantasy football this year. Same thing with Hunter Long. That injury, man, that first offseason is huge for transitioning and getting comfortable with the speed of the game and what you're just asked to do as a player, an NFL player, let alone in an NFL offense. So, that missed time added up. Let's call it a spade here for a sec, all right? The former Boston College standout seemingly got lost playing behind Mike Gesicki, Jones Smith, and Adam Shaheen, 3 veteran tight ends who had more familiarity with Miami's offense. Because Long wasn't a core special teams contributor, he wasn't active for 8 of the next 10 games. Eventually got playing time later in the season when injuries impacted Miami's tight end unit, but Long, amidst the challenges of what come with being an NFL rookie and adulting in the real world life, overwhelmed him. Living in general and trying to handle the off-field stuff was difficult, Long said in conclusion of Tuesday's 1-hour OTA practice session, which sets up next week's mandatory minicamp. Yes, let's go minicamp, baby. In college, you don't realize how much of that stuff is taken care of for you. You get thrown out here and got to figure it out for yourself. I grew a lot off the field, and that has helped me on field by being able to block out stuff. Whether or not he's past his growing pains and ready to contribute to Miami's offense hasn't been determined yet. There's still work to be done, and there are tight ends clearly ahead of him on the depth chart. But Long is doing his part by learning Miami's new play-action-based offense, which will feature tight ends plenty by seemingly bulking up. His shoulders are broader, and that wasn't accidental. I most definitely bulked up. I haven't gained much weight, but I gained some muscle and lost some fat, Long said. I'm just trying to do what I can do. I'm trying to attack this offseason and keep attacking it. What motivated him for this physical metamorphosis? Everyone watches their own tape, and it's on tape, Long said. There are changes I felt I needed, and I attacked it. And that was addressing his shortcomings as a blocker. So far, Long hasn't made any splash plays in the 2 OTA practice sessions the media has watched this spring, but at least his head isn't swimming in new information. And he's gained some familiarity to his surroundings and the team, unlike last season. Gesicki, Smith, and tight ends always took Long under their wing, and even though they realized he was potentially drafted as a replacement, considering they're both impending free agents last offseason. Nothing has changed this year as Gesicki is playing on the franchise tag, which is a 1-year deal worth $10.9 million, and Smythe re-signed a 1-year deal worth $2.75 million. Long could be the heir to the tight end throne if he can blossom, becoming the versatile, multifaceted player he was at Boston College, which motivated the Dolphins to select him 81st overall in 2021. But that could take time, potentially more than his rookie season. There's a sentiment in the NFL that outside of quarterback, tight end is the most difficult position to learn as a young player. The reasoning behind it is that there's 3 different facets of the job a player must master, and no other unit has that much put on their plate. Tight ends must run routes on and off of the line of scrimmage. Then most are also responsible for run blocking, pass blocking, like an offensive lineman. That's why it's been 2 decades since the Dolphins had a tight end who could make a significant impact in his rookie season. That player was Randy McMichael, one of my favorites, a former Georgia standout the Dolphins selected in the 4th round of the 2002 NFL Draft. He got 39 passes for 485 yards and scored 4 touchdowns as a rookie. He went on to play 11 seasons, starting 150 games, and 80 of them came from 5 seasons he spent with the Dolphins. Charles Clay caught 16 passes for 233 yards, scored 3 touchdowns in his rookie season with the Dolphins back in 2011. His career took off in his 3rd season when he caught a career-high 69 receptions and turned them into 759 yards, 6 touchdowns back in 2013. That 2011 6th-round pick had a productive 9-year NFL career, and first 4 of which was spent with the Dolphins. Gesicki and Smythe, who were both early picks in the 2018 NFL Draft, each got off to slow starts. Gesicki caught 22 passes for 202 yards in the 400 offensive snaps he handled as a rookie, but even he'll acknowledge that his rookie season was a disappointment. But Gesicki has blossomed into a playmaker the past 2 seasons, and Smythe, who caught 6 passes for 50 yards in the 176 offensive snaps he played in his rookie season, has served as a functional inline tight end, complementing Gesicki. The hope was that Long can manage both roles, inline blocker and pass catching threat. But to prove that, he'll need to earn the coaching staff's respect and carve out a role for himself. My world hasn't changed. I'm going to come out and do what I can do, Long said when asked about the upcoming season. How much I play and when is up to them. And I mean, you look at our offensive coordinator, Frank Smith. Darren Waller was a guy who was seen as he was going to be an underachiever. He was never going to really be anything. And Frank Smith helped turn him into one of the best tight ends in the NFL. You look at John Embry's track record. Came into the league, worked with Tony Gonzalez right away. Chris Cooley was one of the best tight ends in the NFL under him. You look at a bunch of guys who have blossomed under John Embry. Obviously, George Kittle became, massive under him. He's developed so many good tight ends, John Embry, that when you look at the impact they're going to have on that and nurturing a young mind and a young player like Hunter Long, it's got to have you excited, because I think, they're going to do enough to step up Gesicki and Smythe's game this year. What are they going to do with a young kid they can mold into their own? Because Hunter Long has a lot of stuff on film when you go back to Boston College, where you see a lot of potential, man. You see a lot of potential, man. So with Hunter Long, I think the sky's potentially the limit with him under this coaching staff. It's just going to be about him putting it together, and hopefully he does. He's got a lot of tools to be a very good tight end in this NFL. I mean, John Embry made, Jordan Cameron one of the best tight ends in the NFL for like a 2-year stretch with Cleveland, right? And then concussions eventually caught up to him. But if you can do that with Jordan Cameron, I think you can do something real good with Hunter Long, man. So going to be interesting to see how it all works out. From Barry Jackson and his 6-pack of notes from Friday night. In 13 years, the Dolphins had rarely flummoxed or frustrated a John Harbaugh coached team, losing 8 of 9 games against Baltimore since Harbaugh took over. That is until their Thursday night game last November, when the NFL world couldn't believe what it was witnessing. They ain't believe in us. God did. By blitzing their safeties more than any team in NFL history and playing tight man coverage, the Dolphins suffocated Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense in a 22-10 win that helped Miami turn around its season. Teams play again on September 18th in Baltimore. It'll be interesting to see the chess match unfold between a very good Ravens coaching staff and 2 bright minds calling plays for the Dolphins, and Mike McDaniel on offense and Josh Boyer on defense. They beat us and took it to us, Harbaugh said in the lobby of the Breakers at the recent NFL owners meetings. We have to do the best we can to play a lot better than they did last year. We respect everything they're doing. They're a formidable opponent. It'll be fascinating to see if Boyer blitzes, and he will. I'm telling y'all, that cover 1 and that cover 0 stuff, Boyer loves that ish. So don't worry, the blitzing will be coming this year, as much as he did in that Thursday night game, and how the Ravens will counter it with more time to prepare. The problem is Baltimore is going to be more bodies coming at you now, like Melvin Ingram, baby. Let's go. They did a great job with it, Harbaugh said. We'll have to do better than we did last year. We've beaten you for the 2nd year in a row, Baltimore. What do you got to say now? They ain't believing us. God did. I asked Boyer this. Even though the Dolphins, at their best, had considerable success with their defensive approach and return with mostly the same personnel, how often do you think about making subtle changes in the approach and adding wrinkles so that teams cannot predict what you're going to do based on last year's game tape? Boyer said he thinks about that a lot. It's nonstop. A lot of stuff we try to tweak or do it better or think about it. If there are adjustments you can make, the big thing is when you're installing, you're looking for a logical teaching progression. Those thoughts are constant, and there are always variables. What teams are doing to you and what you're looking to do to teams. There will always be a game plan element. Blitzing defensive backs likely will and needs to be a continued staple of this defensive attack because safeties Javon Holland and Brandon Jones are really good at it. The Dolphins defense finished 16th in points allowed per game and 15th in yards relinquished per game, but was very good, with the Titans game being the only exception. During the final 9 games, when Miami permitted just 15.5 points per game compared to 29.1 for the first 8 games. It's just like this. Look at our offense. All right. If you look at what our offense was when Brissett was to where Tua was and he came back, and people always seem to forget this stuff, which I will never, ever truly fully understand why they would. But I mean, like, there's, Jacoby Brissett. Let's put it this way. Heading into week 6 versus the Jaguars when Tua returned, Miami was 30th in passing offense, 31st in scoring offense, and 25th in third down percentage. By December 12th, they ranked 16th passing offense, 25th scoring offense, 9th in third down percentage. I mean, this guy brought them from the 25th third down percentage team up to 9th best on third down. I mean, and it's the same thing we're seeing here right now, right? Like, that's the same thing they're basically telling you happened. All of a sudden, when we went back to our bread and butter, we went from 29.1 points allowed for the first 8 games to 15.5 points per game over that final 9 games. So both offenses had bipolar and polar opposite aspects to each other throughout the season. You can't win in the playoffs, let alone usually make the playoffs when that happens. Miami also won 8 of those 9, but it's also fair to point out that Jackson was the only above average quarterback that the Dolphins beat in that stretch. The others were Tyrod Taylor, who was a Dolphin killer up until that point, Joe Flacco, Cam Newton, Mike Glennon, Zach Wilson, Ian Book, and Mac Jones. Come on. Wasn't Mac Jones this better than Tua? Why couldn't he beat him? Now we're saying he's not above average. See? As we explained here, the Dolphins believe their excellent defensive work over the second half of the season was more a reflection of their own ability than the deficiencies in most of the quarterbacks they were facing. Boyer on virtually the entire defense being kept intact, with Jason McCourty, Vince Beagle, and Justin Coleman being the only subtractions, in third round rookie Channing Tindall and veteran Melvin Ingram the only significant additions. Take that back, Barry, because Verone McKinley will be a significant addition by the end of this watch. It puts you a different starting point. That there's some familiarity. I guess there's some things that with our guys having familiarity of certain checks that we get in and out of, that obviously helps us, that you're not spending time on something that's a brand new concept. With some of it, there's recall. That gives you the ability to do some very similar things, but tweak it a little bit here and there or improve it. I think it gives you some advantages. Probably the biggest advantage is just the communication between the players. And not only do they know the guys that's next to them, they know how they play. Boyer on the Dolphins, re-signing Emmanuel Ogbah, who has 18 sacks over the past 2 seasons and 126 quarterback pressures during that time, which is 6th most among all NFL edge players. He gives us some versatility because he can do multiple things. We're obviously excited to have him back. He's a good worker. He understands the system and the process, so all positive with him being back. Again, that versatility, it allows you can play the edge, you can play the end. It allows you versatility with other players. You can put Phillips next to him. There's just so much you can do with Ogbah. He's such a perfect scheme fit. Ogbah is a very giving teammate. He's looking forward to helping Jaylen Phillips develop. Jaylen is a smart kid, Ogbah said. I know the first year it felt like a lot of things were moving so fast. The second year, he's going to settle down, and I'm looking forward to seeing him succeed in the second year. Count NFL Network's David Carr, the former quarterback and number 1 overall pick, among those who believe the Dolphins can legitimately challenge the Buffalo in the AFC East. You've addressed every need you possibly could want. Well, minus right tackle and center. You add Tyreek, who's an absolute burner. You add Mike McDaniel, who we know is a great play caller. He's obviously brilliant. Tua Tagovailoa's strength is ripping through his progressions. The nice thing about the offense that McDaniel is going to run is almost plug and play if you're a quarterback. We've seen it with Jimmy Garoppolo. As long as you can get through your reads, you're going to find the open guy. It's going to be the same thing in Miami. NFL Network's Joe Thomas, the former All-Pro left tackle, said Tua is everything he possibly needs. Will he be able to push the ball downfield? That he has fastest receiver in the NFL? Is he going to be not so fast to take the check down? Well, Joe, you might want to go back and watch the last episode of Inside the NFL. Tua Tagovailoa is the second least check down quarterback in the NFL, and he's in the top 5 for least check downs on third down. So Tua doesn't check down. What struck me at the owners' meeting is how liked and respected McDaniel is among his peers. It's really fun to see guys that work and grind and are so humble, and you get the hard work pay off, Packers coach Matt LaFleur said. He's a bright mind. I think he'll do a phenomenal job because he cares about people and he's genuine. I don't ever see him losing that. LaFleur coaches McDaniel at Houston, Atlanta, Washington. Man, we scored a fantastic coach. But let's go back for 1 second here. 5-1 in the division. You best believe David Carr is right that we're ready to compete with the AFC East Buffalo Bills. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 5-1 in the division this year. Bank it, baby. Let's go. Article from PFF and Sam Monsoon. What to expect from Tua Tagovailoa after the Miami's 2022 offseason. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is working from behind the 8 ball when it comes to perception in his NFL career. The number 5 overall pick of the 2019 draft has been vastly outplayed so far by superstar quarterbacks Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, who went number 1 and number 6 respectively in the same draft class. Burrow and Herbert are already unquestionably 2 of the best quarterbacks in the game, while Tua has been a marginal starter at best. Tua's play hasn't been great, but the situation around him may have been prohibitive. That should change this season for the first time. This offseason has been about building around Tua and giving the 24-year-old for the first time a fair chance to prove he can be a high-level player in the NFL. So that's an unbiased. Sam Monsoon is not a Dolphin fan. That's an unbiased take of this offseason has been about building around Tua and giving the 24-year-old for the first time a fair chance to prove he can be a high-level player in the NFL. Pass protection. PFF preaches all the time that you don't need elite offensive line play to win the NFL. It certainly helps, but the biggest gain comes from moving from awful to average, not from average to elite. Pressure matters, even if that pressure doesn't always result in sacks. Simply moving a quarterback off his spot in the pocket causes around a 30-point drop in passer rating. The quicker the pressure comes, the bigger the effect. Miami's offensive line finished last season ranked dead last. But it wasn't just bad for 2021. This line was historically bad. They gave up 235 total pressures as a group, which has only been surpassed a few times over the last 15 years. And they did it despite running RPOs on 18.7% of their snaps and Tua having the 3rd fastest average time to throw at 2.53 seconds. The Dolphins did an excellent job schematically of protecting the line, but it still hemorrhaged pressure at a greater rate than any other line in the league and gave up a league-leading volume of pressure. And if you guys want the number of what I'm talking about, they gave up about 236 pressures. This was a problem that could have been foreseen. Miami's line was disastrous in 2019 before looking slightly better on paper in 2020, leading many Dolphin fans to believe it was on the right track. Deeper examination of the data and the PFF grades would have said the line was still a major problem, which I was telling y'all. What did I say going into last offseason? I said, everyone wants to put this 2020 season on Tua. No, it's on the offensive line because Tua's success, the receiver's success, the running back success will all come down to that offensive line. And lo and behold, it was historically bad, and our offense was super stagnant at times. But they elected to place trust in the development of young players who had yet to show any kind of quality of play. The offseason, they targeted proven veteran commodities, signing Terran Armstead to play left tackle and Connor Williams to play left guard. Armstead is one of the best left tackles in the game, with 2 seasons of 90-plus PFF grades on his resume, as well as 3 more above 80. The only concerns he brings in is an injury history. He's never played 1,000 or more snaps in a single season. There are tackles who go through a decade-long career without ever playing fewer than 1,000 snaps in a season, so Miami may need to budget some mistimed into their plans, which I've been warning y'all. The scary thought is whoever wins the right tackle job, the loser might be playing reps at left tackle if Terran Armstead goes down. Connor Williams is a great example of how protection can be unfair to a player. A former first-round pick, Williams wasn't able to follow in the footsteps of Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, or Travis Frederick and turn the pedigree into perennial all-pro level play of the Cowboys, but he settled into a groove of an above-average starting guard. Last season, he ranked 10th among all guards after finishing 30th in 2020. Above-average guard play is a huge upgrade for Miami, given their recent history. Robert Hunt was the only quality starter already on the line, so in 2 free agent moves, the Dolphins gone from a disaster on the offensive line to 60% of the unit being in capable hands. They'll have a competition to try and upgrade the other 2 spots. This line won't be among the league's best this season, but it should be a lot closer to viability than it has been in recent years. Again, just take me from 22 to take me from 32 to 20 to 22, and let's talk, and we're good, baby. Weapons. 2 offseason moves were bigger than Miami's trade for Tyreek Hill from the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's saying something considering the avalanche of moves we saw this offseason. Hill is a transformative player who affects how a defense lines up and plays every snap. He may have the most potent combination of straight line speed, short area quickness in NFL history, which makes him a threat to score a touchdown on any given play if the defense doesn't account for him fully. Kansas City's offense faced a massive increase in 2 high coverage shells this past season and struggled to find a solid counter to those looks. But those coverages were meant to deal with the threat of Hill first and foremost. He averaged over 2.0 yards per route run every season of his career, despite such extra attention and focus from defenses. See, here's the thing. That's why when you get to 2 high shells, you got to have an effective running game. Right? That's how you counter the 2 high shells. You just run it down their throats and you draw defenders up, and now you can start slicing and dicing with the pass game. That's why they play into each other so much, especially in McDaniel's system. Jaylen Waddle, last year's first-round pick, Jaylen Waddle also possesses elite speed and quickness, though not quite up to Hill's level in either category. And Miami now gets to figure out how to deploy them both, along with Mike Gesicki, Preston Williams, and Cedric Wilson. Don't forget Lynn Bowden. Tua hasn't had anything like this caliber of receiving corps to work with before, and it presents a set of receivers that will be painting a far more Alabama-like picture when he is reading his progressions in terms of separation. I mean, Jaylen Waddle is going to be the best number 2 in football this year. Argue me. Fight me if you think different. Cedric Wilson is going to be one of the better number 3s in football. And Lynn Bowden and Preston Williams and Eric Azukama is 4, 5, 6. I like that. Scheme. Kyle Shanahan's offense is a cheat code. It may be similar to other systems in the NFL, but nobody has been running it as uniquely as Shanahan. Now his former offensive coordinator is the head coach of Miami, in charge of replicating that magic for the Dolphins. And watch, he's going to replicate that uniqueness. He's going to take it. This vertical element and this speed has never been added to the Shanahan offense like we've added. Under Shanahan, quarterbacks like Nick Mullins were able to post career average yards per attempt figure of 7.7 yards. That's the same as Aaron Rodgers managed last season for Packers on his way to an MVP award. So what does that tell you? Here we go. That average depth of target, and it's about to climb for Tua. Jimmy G might be a walking injury report, but he has a career yards per attempt of 8.4. Again, Tua's average depth of target and yards per attempt are going to skyrocket under this offense. Last season, only Joe Burrow averaged more than Garoppolo. Shanahan's system is a quarterback friendly. It also has a history of coaxing career years out of offensive linemen, which won't hurt Miami's rebuild project there. I mean, if we get a career year of Terran Armstead, y'all thought Trent Williams last year was good? Oh boy. We have also seen players like Deebo Samuel and George Kittle explode onto the scene as some of the most dominant playmakers in the league within this offense. Tyreek, Jaylen, Cedric, Lynn Bowden, Mike Gesicki, hell, Durham Smythe. Look at how much better he's gotten each year as a pass catcher. Oh boy. We don't know how successful Mike McDaniel will be implementing this system or evolving his own version of it for the Dolphins, but we do know that the system itself has everything required to create a dominant offense if the players within it are capable. Listen, they got career years out of Jake Plummer in this system, and it didn't have the vertical threat, and it wasn't to the evolve point it's at right now. What do you think they're going to get with Tua? Think about that. People forget. The bottom line, Tua Tagovailoa's play thus far in the NFL has been lackluster at best. He has an overall PFF grades of 65.4 and 68.3, averaging 6.6 yards per attempt in his career. Only Jared Goff has a lower big-time throw rate over that time to Tua's 2.5%. Now, big-time throws are deep passes. That's what big-time throws are considered. By any measure, he has not shown he can be a franchise quarterback, but there's a strong argument that his situation was prohibitively bad and there was no chance for him to do so. For the first time in his career, that shouldn't be a valid argument. So the stage is set for Tua to show what he can do. Of course, that also puts the pressure firmly on his shoulders entering what very much a make or break season. Listen, I've told y'all, I think he needs to enter the top 12 conversation, meaning the floor for me is 12. Ceiling is 1. But the floor is 12. And you look at everything, the scheme, the offense, the upgrades, I'll tell you this. Jimmy G averaged 8.4 yards per attempt last year. Nick Mullins averaged 7.7. And yeah, they had Deebo and Kittle, but beyond Deebo and Kittle, they didn't have the depths of weapons we've added to this offense like Tua has. So the expectation for me, top 12 play from Tua Tagovailoa. That's what my expectation is. And just to show you guys the numbers in your face, the most QB hurries allowed last season, bad. Just terrible stuff. I believe they meant pressures, but that's brutal. Brutal. Some more positive. Here's a positive thing for you from PFF, guys. Don't worry. Little positive thing for you. Jaylen Waddle, 94.9 receiving grade on short routes last season, which was the 6th highest amongst all wide receivers. So, I'm telling you, not many receivers could have done what he did last year, especially with an offense that took more than half of the season to figure out how to start using him. So, it was a crying shame how we used Waddle last year. Crying shame. And then finally, guys, I got a question for y'all. Is Ricky Williams the most underappreciated running back of all time? Peter Schrager put out this list, and he had Ricky Williams as the most underappreciated running back of all time, followed by Fred Taylor, Roger Craig, Priest Holmes, and Chuck Foreman. Is Ricky Williams the most underappreciated running back of all time? Because I know we all remember the good times. Man. And I'm telling you, Ricky, at his best, was MVP candidate. Like, that guy was an league MVP candidate. I don't care what anyone says. I honestly think LaDainian Tomlinson should be on this list. I don't think enough people talk about LaDainian Tomlinson. So I think LaDainian Tomlinson is one of the most underappreciated running backs ever too. King says Reggie Bush. Man, I don't know about Reggie Bush, bro. I don't know about that. All right, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. tomorrow, it's Double or Nothing, so I'll be watching AEW. I know the homie Rome Gray will as well. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to probably be back on Monday night, it looks like. If not Monday, I'll be back Tuesday. But I'm going to try and get back here for Monday night. Going to probably drop that Verone McKinley prospect preview this week for y'all. But yeah, I wanted to get this show out for y'all. Listen, here's the deal. Mike Gesicki, is he pricing himself out of Miami? The sad thing is he might be. Hey, Chris Johnson, that's another good. Chris Johnson is very underrated. I agree. But guys, I'm gonna see all of y'all on Monday or on Tuesday. Hoping Monday, but look for me on one of those 2 days. Until next time, everyone, and continue to enjoy your weekend. Stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. And as always, people, fins up all day, every day.